Hi everybody and welcome to today's panel session. I'm Jay Wyatt, I'm the AudioCodes Marketing Manager for EMEA, and today I'm joined by Irwin Lazar from Metrigy and Benny Matityahu from AudioCodes. Guys, I'm not going to run into all your background, so I'll let you introduce yourself. So Irwin, perhaps you'd like to go first.
Sure. Thanks for the introduction, and happy to be chatting with everybody. I'm Irwin Lazar, President and Principal Analyst with a company called Metrigy. And at Metrigy, we spend our time gathering data around how companies are using unified communications and customer engagement technologies. We look for how what's driving budgets, what's driving organizational strategies, and maybe most importantly, what are the characteristics of successful companies. I've been in the analyst space now for a little over 20 years. Part of that, my background was in network engineering.
So you've seen done a lot then Irwin. Benny, perhaps you could introduce yourself.
Thank you, and pleasure to be here as well. I've been with AudioCodes for 15 years. I'm managing today the business line of Microsoft within AudioCodes. Generally, AudioCodes is in the market for more than 30 years, focusing on voice and voice applications and solutions. And we are one of the top partners of Microsoft in the Teams arena.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. So going straight into it, in today's discussion, we're going to talk about Microsoft Teams Phone, what it is, why you might want to consider it for business voice services, and why now is the right time to migrate and adopt Microsoft Teams Phone. So I'm going to start with you, Irwin. Let's really go back to the basics. What is Teams Phone and why is it important?
Sure. So Teams Phone is a set of calling features that you can add on to Microsoft Teams, depending on your license. So if you have an E5 license, it's already available to you, or education government equivalents. If you have an E3 or other license, typically it's something you have to buy as an add-on. But essentially, it allows you to use Microsoft Teams as your phone system. It does require additional PSTN connectivity that's available through either Microsoft or through PSTN connectivity partners. And what we have seen in our research is that roughly about 70% of companies have Microsoft Teams licenses now. Most are using those for messaging and meetings. About 18% or so that are using it for calling as well. And so we're starting to see significant growth, both in our research base, certainly in the numbers that Microsoft has provided. And that's really being driven by that desire to have that integrated single experience. So I can use Teams for messaging, meetings, calling, one point of management, one user interface, and so on. So, again, very important part of the communications landscape right now. And in our research, like I said, we see Teams Phone adoption really beginning to take off.
Awesome, thank you. Benny, perhaps you could kind of explain the kind of three connectivity options that you actually have with Microsoft Teams Phone.
Sure. So there are three, I would say, options for PSTN connectivity to Teams for Teams phones. The first one is Microsoft Calling Plans. The second one is Operator Connect. And the third one is Direct Routing. Let me cover them a bit. So Microsoft Calling Plan, with this option, Microsoft becomes your PSTN provider. And you are buying the plans from Microsoft depending on the regional availability. The second one, Operator Connect, here the connectivity is provided via an operator. Operator Connect enables automation of the connectivity between the PSTN line with the business Teams tenant. This option primarily fits deployments with simple kind of voice networking. The third option, Direct Routing, here the connectivity is provided via SBCs that are managed by the customer or its partner. Direct Routing enables the organization to implement connectivity to Teams also in a complex voice network that includes multiple branches, variety of voice applications, and sometimes also specific security and routing schemas.
Awesome, thank you, Ben. That's a really, really great explanation. So, we've kind of covered, who is it for, what's it for, and we've gone through the kind of connectivity options. But, truly, what are the benefits of Teams Phone for businesses? That's probably going to be one of the key questions that I think, a lot of organizations are going to want to know. What's the benefits to us? So perhaps, Irwin, you could, run that through that for us.
Sure. There are a number of benefits around productivity, collaboration, customer service to be able to take advantage of that unified interface. And really, the biggest one that we see is that ability to present employees with a single unified interface. And that's the biggest driver that we've seen in our research for Teams Phone adoption. So having that seamless integration, not only with Teams to have calling in it, but also across the Microsoft 365 portfolio. So integration into other Microsoft applications as well. you have the option for simplified management and administration of your entire communication and collaboration suite. So you're managing phone system, messaging, meetings, and other applications all through a single user interface. There's a number of different licensing options that are out there that you can take advantage of, depending on whether you're a small company all the way up to a large enterprise. And then you have access to a number of advanced features and capabilities, things like call recording, voicemail, transcription, auto attendant, call queue that you can even use to set up a small contact center, even some of the legacy kinds of calling features like Call Park and so on. Copilot, Microsoft's generative AI capabilities now are coming into Teams. So you have that capability to take advantage of Copilot across your entire Teams set of features and applications. And then finally, support for a wide range of Teams certified devices, both meeting rooms, desktop, as well as personal devices.
That's great, Irwin. Thank you. And I think we touched on something subject then. I think I'd like to kind of expand that perhaps a little bit more. You sort of mentioned like Copilot and generative AI capabilities. I think, Benny, is there anything more that you could kind of add to that?
Well, I would add in short that more and more we see that the add-on applications for Teams, especially the Gen AI solutions that are built around Teams, are becoming the driver for the move to Teams Phone. And these could be AI-driven solutions within Teams, like Copilot, or AI capabilities integrated into applications that are tightly integrated with Teams, like contact center and meeting connectivity, or meeting productivity, applications that tie in with Teams.
We touched slightly, on the Metrigy research report. What are the kind of key findings? What can the our audience expect to find within the research report, on Teams Phone?
Sure. So the report we published was called Time for Teams Phone, How Organizations Benefit from Microsoft's Cloud Calling Platform. And this was based on data that we gathered from 1,440 organizations in North America, Western Europe, Southeast Asia, and Australia. And one of the things that we found is that the companies that are using Teams Phone typically are showing that they're having higher levels of success in terms of productivity, business benefits, even sales increase and customer service benefits from having that unified infrastructure. So they're having a high return on investment. There's a number of other findings that we've seen. As I mentioned at the beginning, Teams Phone adoption is rapidly growing. Just looking at the numbers that Microsoft reports in their quarterly earnings, 45% year over year Teams Phone growth in adoption in 2023. According to our research, as I mentioned earlier, about 30% roughly of those who have access to Teams aren't yet using Teams Phone, but are planning to adopt by the end of the year. So even among those who are not yet using it, there's a significant interest in using it in the short term, again, by the end of 2023. We find that companies who adopt, they do have that option or potential to save money by simplifying training, by having that single user interface, simplifying licensing, potentially reducing operational costs if they're managing multiple separate platforms today. They have the potential to improve that user experience by delivering that unified interface, by not having that toggle tax of having to switch around to different applications for different communication and collaboration functions. I mentioned earlier, the integration capabilities across the Microsoft suite was something that we saw that's a significant driver for Teams Phone adoption, as well as integration with Microsoft partners through either off-the-shelf integrations or APIs. Other benefits, simplified endpoint management. So if you're using, say, Teams Room and Teams Phones, they can all potentially be managed through a single interface. And then going back to what Benny mentioned, there's a number of options for PSTN connectivity that can allow companies to optimize their spend and pick best in region services, best global services, and really pick the kinds of services that are appropriate for the type of organization that they are.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, having a blended approach for many organizations, especially if they've got, a split geography, then, that's absolutely going to work for them. But, I think one of the key questions might seem quite a basic question, but perhaps, Benny, can you kind of explain how businesses can get started with Microsoft Teams Phone?
Sure. So from what we see, there are several stages when an organization is moving to Teams. At the first stage, organization would define its organizational goals and project scope. This could be achieved through a discovery workshop, and I think it's also recommended to run a POC, like a proof of concept for Teams, to gain initial impression of the solution and experience and its benefits, like Irwin mentioned just a second ago. Next, it would be more of a detailed design stage that will include, PSTN integration, decide which connectivity method to be used, as we mentioned earlier. Analyze the existing voice platform to define which to be retained, which would be replaced. Build an intelligent routing between teams, the company legacy platform, the SIP trunks, all of that aligned with the company operational needs. And then you would like to define the migration phases and assess which departments and user will be migrated at each phase. The next step will be to choose the right user and meeting room devices. It will be based on defining employee personas and devices needs on one hand, and then defining meeting room types and ideal devices or device combination, I would say, to ensure the seamless hybrid meeting experience that you want to achieve. And finally, I'd say that the organization needs to set the additional apps to complete the needed employee experience. So in some cases, the legacy PBX includes functionality beyond what's available within Teams. Applications like compliance recording, IVR, and sometimes also a contact center. So it will be important to define the add-on application to complement Teams. In the last piece, I would say, it will also be good to plan to include AI-based solutions, for example, to record and analyze the meeting contents that you generate within Teams.
Well, Benny, that was really, really comprehensive, and thank you. Irwin, perhaps, what would you what would you recommend to IT leaders to give themselves the best chance of a successful Teams phone implementation?
Yeah, I think it's a matter of doing your due diligence. So look at the potential for Teams Phone to improve the user experience by, again, integrating calling into the other applications that they're probably using on a daily basis, if not hourly, and on a per minute basis even. Take advantage of some of those new capabilities. Benny talked quite a bit about things like AI and Copilot. Look at the opportunity to reduce licensing and operating costs by, again, simplifying that infrastructure. You want to look at the ideal licensing. There's a number of different ways that you can get Teams Phone through both add-on licenses as well as through upgraded licenses. There are different license capability or different license options based on the size of the organization. Look at the different approaches for PSTN connectivity. Again, Benny provided some detail into all of that. So you want to look at what makes sense from calling plan, operator connect, direct routing as ways of connecting to the PSTN. Think about deploying unified voice and video endpoints. It's one of the real benefits that you can have the same partner for video endpoints in Microsoft Teams rooms, BYOC rooms, as well as on the desktop for phones and even for headsets. Think about specialty management tools too. One of the challenges that we often see as companies are rolling out Teams is how do I manage provisioning and performance for my Teams users. So look for the tools that are out there that can help support centralized both voice and video administration. So again, you're not moving back and forth between different tools. Look for a partner that has experience and that can provide Teams support to you. Make sure that you are well versed in how you go through that migration, potentially even moving dial plans, moving to different devices, moving to different endpoints, and so on. And then finally, look at options for deployment capabilities that offer agility, flexibility, and operational cost efficiencies, again, often through a partner.
Again, thank you very much. That's really great and really comprehensive. I think there's perhaps one little thing I'd perhaps add there that's been quite new to the frame, and that's the actual licensing requirements now for meeting rooms. So that's one thing that's a lot of organisations should sort of consider for a successful implementation. So, Benny, really based upon your experience with AudioCodes customers, is there anything more you'd like to add?
I would say that we would add like three key recommendations. I think that within the migration to Teams, you need to do, first of all, design the future of your voice communication network in terms of productivity and generative AI application. This is kind of a first thing to do. The second thing, you need to put an emphasis on controlled and gradual migration. This is a key for successful move to Teams Phone. And I would also mention to allow coexistence. That will be between Teams and the legacy voice platform, both during and after the migration process. And I would also add a last comment. I would add that voice is complex. I mean, you need experts in the field to guide you through the process, and you need to adopt a holistic approach that takes into account, the organization overall needs in the best way possible. A simple approach to succeed with Teams Phone implementation is by getting all of the stages and the benefits via subscription-based model or voice as a service. The benefits of this model is that it has a predictable cost, and the fact that product, services, and support fees are built into the subscription. So it's really a beneficial as part of this kind of move into Teams Phone.
Brilliant, thank you. Guys, this kind of concludes our video for today. So I want to thank you both, Irwin and Benny, for making this happen today. Guys that are watching this, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. And if you'd like to actually read the Metrigy white paper, or you haven't yet read the Metrigy white paper, please see a link in the comments below. That will actually take you directly to the white paper, where you'll be able to actually have a read of the research document. Thank you.